Hello, my friends, and welcome to a new episode. Um, I welcome you all today in a new episode, and I welcome you all to my tent here on the beach. In Düsseldorf. So here's this place. Here's my tent. So, now, what am I going to talk about? Today's episode is basically about depressions, and why does it occur? What is a depression? The definition of depression or stress, let's say, in general, is when the amount of things acting upon us at a given point in time and space surpasses our abilities, coping mechanisms to take care of what's in front of us, and overwhelms our ability to manage it. Now, let me put it in a different way. That's the definition, according to some psychiatry and other scientific definitions, dictionaries or encyclopedias. Now, in other colloquial terms, stress occurs when we're too easy on ourselves. So the easier you are on yourself, the more relaxed you are on yourself, the harder the situation will be on you. So the harder you are on yourself, the easier the situation will be on you. And so from stress, from our inability to manage what's at hand, results let's call it an inflammation. An inflammation of our of our inability. So an inability inflammation, basically. Now, I'm talking about these things as if I am already thinking about this. I've already thought about this. Now I just decided to give it more, more of a to put more expressions into it. Now, here's this: if you're depressed or are stressed, depression is more of a chronic term of stress. Depression is, you can define depression as, if a person has three of many other clinical symptoms. What are the symptoms? The symptoms are the first one is, as we say in German, gedruckte Stimmung. When your mood is repressed or down. That's number one. Number two is when you've lost your interests. Interessenverlust. Number three is when you lack the physical motivation to get about or to do your daily activities. In German, it's basically abbreviated as GIA. I abbreviated it as for myself, as GIA. It's a pseudonym or Eselbrücke in German. Now, GIA, gedruckte Stimmung, Interessenverlust und Antriebslosigkeit. Now, the story here is this. You can define, and we may define stress and all of these kinds of matters. A lot of people develop their early stories based upon the stressors acting upon them in their early lives. I believe the death of our motivation occurs by the end of our high school. Matter of fact, during high school. Why do I say and refer to it by death? Death is a very, it's a concentrated, heavy word. Now, why? Because by the times of high school times, we have basically completed our primary quick building of, let me put it in this way, of our personality, so-called personality. So we basically have made have built something very quickly that now we think that it is our personality. So we live in this cocoon for a very long period. As we ram into the cocoon walls of our personality, when stress occurs, when people are stressing us, we come to understand that it was a hasty construction. The cocoon, or the personality that was built at the beginning of our childhood up until the high school times, completion, let's say, that cocoon turns out to be very unstable, and was built in a hastily. So it is basically a hasty construction of our personality. Now, when we're confronted by an angry person, impolite individual, we refer to him or her as impolite, and he should behave himself, and so on. At the workplace or wherever there is. The story here is this. We give permission at the end of the day to others. Others, I mean feelings, thoughts, and people's opinions to enter our mental space or comfort space, and to cause changes over there. Let's say we have let's say we have let's say we have a scenario where there is an older person that has given us his opinion about ourselves, or a spouse that has given us a certain opinion about the current situation we are in. You know, we're inorganized, not unorganized, and we're not very punctual. Let's say, you know, that's a very common issue that occurs. Now, most people, or even a coworker. Now, most people, what are most people going to do? The first thing what people will do is criticize that person for being that way, instead of asking ourselves, you know, what was that person bad, or was this? Instead of asking ourselves, was I, or you know, or were I the problem? Now we're asking ourselves and telling ourselves, this guy was bad. Was he bad? Was he was not good, and all of it. So we're giving all of these adjectives and nouns to the individuals we coexist with. And that's why we do not learn from such a situation. You know, the story here is this. You know, let's say there is this guy criticizing you. There's another guy, that's you. You know, that's the other guy, which is standing right here in a confrontation. So now you feel very small, right? You feel very small compared to that guy. Why? Now you're saying this guy is snob, or what do you call it? High-nosed, hochnäsig in German, and so on. Now, if you put all this into consideration of what we talked about, there is one sentence that sums it all, which is, if you have a problem, then you are the problem. Now, if you resist accepting the definition of moving from step 1 to step 2, or ladder 1 to ladder 2, you know, in the pyramid or hierarchy of our well-being, or self-satisfaction or wisdom, if you accept that principle, that belongs to this kind of hierarchy or pyramid, which is, if you have a problem, you're the problem. If you're resisting this and rejecting this, you are likely to encounter that same situation where you're feeling small right here, probably even smaller, you know, when you simply are rejecting if you have a problem, then you're the problem. Now, if you're rejecting this, you're just going to encounter that same scenario with different people. They just have different names, and they're just going to put you through that same test as you took before. Now, going back to depression and all that, the main cause, I'm talking in a healthy person that developed depression. I'm not mentioning certain people that are predisposed to major depressive disorders, and all of those kinds of, this package of disorders such as bipolar and so on, major depression, and the rest. I'm talking if you're not predisposed, if you're not at risk, if you're a normal person, as we are. People at risk are also normal people. I mean, if you're not at risk, if you've not been since birth predisposed for that. What I'm saying is, the main cause for all of these kinds of depressions is that inflammation. Learning inability inflammation, let's call it. In Arabic, one calls it التهاب عدم القدرة التهاب عدم القدرة على الاعتراف في المشكلة مالتك أو إلك، أو إيش يسمونها معه. Now, in German, das ist eine Entzündung der Unfähigkeit, deiner Unfähigkeit, das Problem als deine eigene als eine eigene Ursache ist oder sowas. So now excuse my German, it is not perfect. So if you have depression or obstacle or stressors, you have to understand that it all boils down to three things. One, and this is a summary of the episode. If you have a problem, then you are the problem. Two, the easier you are on yourself, the harder the problem will be on you. Three, you have to accept that the obstacle that you're facing, that's in your way, such as this, for example, as you're trying to go, the obstacle right here that's in your way, it doesn't matter, be it a business problem, a coworker problem, a stress of some sort. This obstacle or stress that's in your way is the way. And that's basically the whole story. Now, how are you going to remove the obstacle? You cannot be here, which is behind the obstacle. You cannot leave here. You can't leave this situation if you have not been through. So you're going to have to remove the obstacle, and that requires at least knowing the obstacle. If you do not know your obstacle, it is highly unlikely that you will be able to solve it, because more than 50% of the solution is knowing that there is a problem in the first place. If you're facing an addictive situation, an addiction of some sort, you have to understand that there is no way in hell, no snowball chance in hell, that you're going to solve this situation if you do not know, at least know, and have taken time and space to at least admit and acknowledge that there is a problem in the first place. Now, if you can't acknowledge something, you can't change something. And this is number 3, or number 4, point number 4, as a summary for all this episode. As far as today is concerned, my friends, see y'all later.